has limits.
When I was at your age, I definitely couldn't do that.
Over 300 contestants had gathered together at the Debaters Season 3. Regrets, heartbreaks, happiness, excitement. But more than anything else, the Debaters is where young Vietnamese people get to raise their voices and stand their grounds on many social matters.
We have to know that secondary students are not ready for sex. The fact is that the society is conservative. They expect you to be perfect in the first place.
And now, there is only one final debate left to find out the new champion of the Debaters. 3 girls and 1 young gentleman from Ams Kira. 3 stars never lost their way. Lost stars.
We see on their side of the house, parents see their kids always obeying. They would not have the urge to have deep conversation with their kids.
So long as we listen to our parents, they will still allow us freedom. They will still allow us to become our own person within their acceptance.
Seeing these guys, even from the early qualifying rounds, we knew that they were pretty special, and they've got a huge amount of potential, not only, I think, in the final, but actually further beyond in the debating community as well. So the potential for both teams is huge, and the potential for this to be a great final is massive.
Which team will the Champions Cup be awarded to? Now, let's head into the most important match, the grand finale of the Debaters 2022.
The prize for the champion of the Debaters 2022 is a 2-week university trip to England, sponsored by British University Vietnam.
We're also feeling a little bit nervous because while it's a big match, so one foul can actually destroy the whole case. So we really need to be careful and really need to be skeptical of what will happen in the match.
I think being in the finale has really made my team more nervous than usual, and so the special thing that we had to prepare is mostly me assuring them and helping them believe in our case and really fill in all the gaps possible. I think I want my team to know that we've worked really hard, and regardless of the result, I will always be proud of you and proud of the work that we've done.
I think that the Debaters Season 3 has been such an incredible journey. So at the end of the day, whether or not we lose, we think we will still bring home some new experience, some new lessons, and make new friends.
Of course, personally, I am very excited for today's debate. We hope to really make it a very fun debate rather than kind of bashing each other's faces in. We definitely believe that I personally feel very validated that we finally get to debate in the finals, and the fact that we have been saved in the quarterfinals definitely make me more motivated to prove our worth in this round.
We didn't make too many changes, mostly because we don't have much time to prepare. So we want to keep things as consistent, and we stick to the things that got us the wins the last time.
Finally, we got the chance to be in a final of a very famous TV show, and so I think that we will try our best to just show off every skill and content that we have.
Come and ignite your passion, ignite your passion.
Welcome back to the Debaters Season 3 Grand Finale, a debate game show for high school students all across Vietnam. In production by VTV7 and British University Vietnam. My name's Lương Vo, and I'll be your host today. The Debaters Season 3. What a season it's been. In a few moments, after a few rounds of debates, we will know who will be the winners and champions for the Debaters 2022. Throughout the season, we've seen plenty of ups and downs. We've seen our students full of courage, great English skills, and growing as people. And all we hope is at the end of the season, they can go on and inspire others. And here with us today, I'm very honored to present to you guys our very distinguished special guest for our grand finale today, Dr. Professor Raymond Gordon, President and Vice Chancellor of the British University Vietnam, sponsor of the Debaters 2022. Miss Nhật Hoa, Deputy of the Department of Science and Education of Vietnam Television. Miss Nguyễn Thị Thuyết Nhung, CEO of TNC Media. Miss Ro Hei Wan, CEO of Debate for All and adjudicator of The Debaters Season 3. I'd also like to send a special thanks to our mentors who've been side by side with our students the entire time. But of course, we wouldn't be complete without our great panel of judges. I'm proud to introduce to you guys the judges for our grand finale. Miss Nguyễn Ngọc Tú Yên, professional debate coach and co-chief adjudicator of The Debaters. Mr. Nguyễn Chí Hiếu, CEO and co-founder of IEG Global. And of course, Mr. Stuart Utley, head of the English department at British University, Vietnam. Thank you all for taking so much time to be with us at our grand finale tonight. And of course, the moment we've all been waiting for, I'm proud to introduce to you on stage our two teams for today. From the proposition side, may I please have Lost Stars, Đoàn Đức Huy, Phan Thế Việt, and Lưu Chi An. Hello, guys. And on the opposition side, may I please have Ams Kira, Đinh Pha Lê, Nguyễn Tú Quyên, and Phạm Bùi Dương Huy. Please give a round of applause for our two teams today. Going through each round, we've watched our students grow and become stronger and stronger. We have to acknowledge all of the hard work and dedication from our contestants. So how does it feel to finally be at the grand finale today?
Being in the grand finale is definitely a life-changing experience, one that many people probably don't have in their entire lifetimes. I remember 2 seasons ago, I was sitting right over there as an audience member watching my own mentor going against their mentor in the finale of Debaters Season 1. And now that I'm standing here, it feels everything has gone full circle, and perhaps the results will go differently this time.
Well, we'll see. Thank you so much for sharing. And Hui, can you please share with me your journey throughout the season?
To be frank, our team was lucky enough to be saved from the elimination round. So today we hope just to do our best to have a fun and good experience in this final match.
Well, I wish you guys the best of luck, and it's nice to have you guys back.
Yes, many thanks.
Thank you.
Best of luck to you guys, okay? Please take your seat. And now, I'm pleased to announce the motion for the grand finale of The Debaters Season 3 2022. That we would ban universities from disclosing alumni salary statistics. I don't think I need to add too much commentary for this motion. I think you guys pretty much can understand it, but I want to hear from the experts. How do they think? Mr. Hugh, how do you feel about this motion?
I think even though the phrasing of this motion is simple and straightforward, but I think there are many contextual nuances going through this motion. And I think it's just not the story of university, but it's also professional workplaces and the economy and many, many other things. So I'm really looking forward to a very deep, but at the same time, nuanced analysis of the students. But I think this is something I'm very interested as well, because I never reviewed my salary to any of my previous universities. So we'll see how it goes.
Well, thank you so much for sharing. Ms. Uing, can I have any advice for our contestants today? What's going to win your heart?
Well, that's actually a very interesting question. I know that the students today, they also want to know the secret. I cannot review everything, but I'm just going to say that because this is a ban motion, I would love to hear your explanation, your justification, and how you can ensure your ban would work, or how you can argue that this ban would not work. So I think that is the key message in here.
Thank you so much. And Mr. Stewart, you work in education. Do you have any particular thoughts on this motion?
This isn't as common as I think it is across the pond in America. So normally we often talk about the amount of graduates or the amount of alumni that go into employment after university, and rarely do we explicitly disclose the amount of money that people are making. So it's something that I actually didn't really face when I was studying myself, but it's something that I think is a growing trend, and I'm very excited to see kind of the areas that it includes, as Mr. Hill said, on a very much a macro level, but also thinking about characterizing some of the students who would be facing this. And I think that's what both teams need to be doing today.
Thank you so much, judges, for sharing. And I won't keep us too much longer. Without any ado, may I please invite our two speakers for our first round of debates. From the proposition team, may I please have Đoàn Đức Huy. And from the opposition side, may I please have Đinh Pha Lê. So Huy, throughout this season, we've heard some great opening lines from you. What are you going to do today? What's your tactic today?
Well, I think that creating opening line is one of my favorite things in debating, is encourage you to be creative. So I think that in this debate, I would like to make it a little bit special, but let's give it to the reply speech.
Okay, well, best of luck to you, my friend, okay?
Thank you, sir.
And Pha Lê Crystal.
Hi.
You know, I gotta say, I love your name so much.
Thank you.
So what's your tactic for opening today?
Actually, I think I will just do my orderly job of setting up the debate, and I will try my best.
Okay. Yes. Best of luck. I'm excited to see you out there. Perfect. And of course, before we get started with round one of debates, I'd like to go over the rules very quickly. Each contestant will have 3 minutes to complete their speech. POIs are not allowed right now, and we'll start with the proposition side. Any questions?
No.
Perfect, guys. With that being said, let the first round of debates begin.
People often associate happiness with success, but the defining happiness with the metric of salary after graduations is a complete failure of the universities, and therefore the proposition team could ban university from disclosing alumni's salary statistic. Firstly, I will explain the mechanisms for our policy. Universities are still allowed to collect data of alumni salary for their own research purpose, but they are prohibited from publishing them on media platforms such as newspaper or social media. Secondly, college will be punished financially and publicly criticized if they disclose those statistics. And thirdly, alumni are encouraged to share their experience at school, but they are discouraged to publicly talk about their salary. And lastly, we will urge university to market based on the curriculum, facilities, and student fulfillments instead of the alumni statistic. First argument in this debate is that such disclosure embraces a culture of materialism in educational system. Firstly, I will clarify that universities will use those statistics to advertise because the numbers are easy to understand. They can contribute to the association between success and the amount of salary you get. So in reality, note that an alumni salary is not reflective of the quality of the education at university. There are external factors that may affect the salary of a graduate. For example, you may already come from like a privileged background, and the connections will allow you to have good salary anyways, regardless of the educations. But secondly, education also includes social relationship, character building, as well as community, and alumni salary, as proven, is blurring out the criteria in college selections of students. Three main impacts for this argument. The first impact is on the stakeholders of families who are in search of college for their children. For them, a suitable college should be a space in which the students can be themselves in 4 years. However, note that due to society hyperfixations on numbers and money, which is reinforced through those statistics, families would not do sufficient research and only pay attention to those statistics. This looks like families which are struggling financially based on aiming for school out of their budget based on an illusion that their children will be paid more in the future. It's highly regrettable that students cannot find the most suitable college for themselves because they are blinded by those statistics. The second impact in this argument is that students who want to pursue less profitable industry like artistics, they face societal pressure to go into majors or schools with higher statistics. And students who are truly passionate about less popular fields are deemed as less successful when money is the main determinant of success in those statistics. And they are discouraged or even forced by parents to even give up their dreams at the end of the day. The last stakeholders that we're going to analyze is students who are already in school with high statistics. They are conditioned into thinking that this is not getting university ensure that you have a high salary. Therefore, they don't need to try or explore new things in college. The false promise of guaranteed high pay has created a generation of passive students, and we regret a world in which 18-year-old decisions are dictated by money bills. There are no alternatives as long as those statistics exist. Therefore, we are proud to ban those statistics. Proud to propose.
Seems like the proposition side have already forgotten the ultimate goal of education is to get a good job, is to survive, is to make ends meet, and they have already failed that goal from the first speech. 2 points of rebuttal. Firstly, they talk about the discrimination and that students who pursue art could not actually, will be forced into other schools. We say that there are many other reasons for this, and it is symmetrical on both sides. There are long-standing prejudices. This also depends on the market. So this only publicization of salary doesn't make any difference. It's like it is already dead, and you stop it again. It doesn't really make any difference. Secondly, on the passion, we have to say here that in this debate, rich people have already had the chance to pick the school and pursue their dream already. So they are already out of this debate. What we should care about is the middle class and lower class people, because they have to bet their life on college. So they already have a very low social economic background. So you have to ensure that they have to make ends meet first before they pursue any of their hobbies. And like, for example, yes, on their side they can pursue art, but then at the end of the day, because they choose the wrong school, because they choose the wrong major, they could end up like not earning enough money to survive in the pandemic. So the passion, even if pursuable, is fleeting, is unstable, and is unsustainable. Now, onto the stance of the opposition, we will disclose alumni salary statistics, and this will be the median figures in the 5 or first 10 years after that student graduate, not in their first year when they are only postgraduate. And 3 framings noted here, judges. Firstly, rich people are out. Secondly, lower, and this is the only choice of middle class and lower class people who are vulnerable to actually have social mobility and stable income. And thirdly, salary, although it may not be completely objective, it is the most universal metric to show what universities, how the universities are really doing. Now, 2 points in this debate. Firstly, on the obligation, and secondly, on the practicalities. Firstly, on the obligations, we say that students have the right to know what they are putting themselves in. And here's the analysis. First reason, colleges actively advertise themselves and their quality of education. And yes, as the proposition already said, they advertise about the curriculum, the environment, but note here, this there may be a very good professor, but it doesn't ensure that I will be suitable to the environment. So what we should be actively looking at is the reality, is how much the really outcome of after your process of studying. And secondly, we should look at the risk and opportunity cost for the students. The middle class and low class students who are vulnerable, they have to pay a student's loan, which is very expensive, and the interest may increase after the years. And that is why they should have informed decision of what they're investing in, because they do not have enough resources. They are the vulnerable, as the proposition have already agreed. So the most effective way to actively protect this stakeholder is that you inform them about what they will really achieve, and you guarantee the transparency that they deserve when they choose which college to enter. We say that on the proposition side, all that they could do is push these students into a dead end. And yes, they may pursue their passion, but they cannot make ends meet. They can even not survive. Proud to oppose.
Great job, guys. That was a pretty heated first round of debates. Judges, how are we doing? Why don't I start with Mr. Hugh? Can I hear from you, please?
So for the proposition team, I think you have a nice, clean and clear structure. Between the setup and the argument, I particularly favor the setup. I think you characterize your mechanism quite well. That preempt a lot of attack from the opposition team, which is nicely done. The highlight of the arguments is you start to already look at different stakeholder groups in the first argument. So I kind of have a feeling like you guys are going to push really strong in the second round for macro impacts. But at the same time, that just leave a little bit of small room for each stakeholder impact. So I feel like a lot of the mechanism for the impact on each stakeholder is a little bit rushing. I see the impact, but I feel like there's that gap between your reasoning and the impact. With the opposition team, you set up with your ultimate goal of education is to find a job. I see why you take that as your stance, but I think that somehow restrict your flexibility. You kind of narrow down your stance too much. And I feel like you do a strategy that's a bit safe, and I feel like it's not going to be aggressive enough to push the other team. So maybe work on that ultimate goal a little bit. The rebuttal is not so strong for me. The mechanism, when you say that you're going to publish the median figure of the first 10 years, it's a drop of policy, but I'm not sure why that policy is there. Why is it not 5 years? Why is it the median figure,
Actually, I think she said from 5 to 10 years.
Yeah, I mean like 5, 10 years. I don't know why is that the policy.
Yeah.
Or otherwise, it can be like 15 or 20 years, right? It has to be like something for me to know that the policy is working with whatever you try to prove. Otherwise, the policy is just there. So that is something I want you guys to work on a little bit. So in the first round, which team do a more decent job for the first debaters? My 10 points will go to the team that at least give me a kind of clear setup and a clear arguments. So my 10 points go to the proposition team in this round.
Thank you. With that being said, proposition side now has 10 points. Stuart, let's hear from you.
It was a pretty fiery first round. Lots of points kind of brought out. And I think you've both set this up really nicely for a lot of engagement with each other's sides throughout the rest of the rounds. For the proposition side, as Mr. Hill said, a very, very clean setup from you. What I really liked, and this is something that we've given as advice and feedback from the judges, is the notion of we need to know what the impact is and we need to know who the stakeholders are. You guys clearly listened to that and you really cleanly put that into your speech. Really nice first turn, and whilst I don't necessarily agree with all of the points you put forward, I think that into the second round we're going to really see how they materialise in more of a kind of macro element. For the opposition side, I do agree with you a little bit that you've boxed yourself in with the notion of what education is for, the aim of education, and I think that might be something that the other side are going to pick up. In terms of your points, you at this point didn't quite as directly mention the stakeholders and the impact, however I know that your second speaker is going to bring that. For me, if I'm comparing both sides, the most immediate comparison in points in terms of the ideas is this notion of, on the one hand, should families be almost convinced to pay for things that are out of their means, or should families be aware of what the potential return on investment later on is? Whilst I don't agree personally, morally, I actually think the stronger argument is from the opposition side on that particular clash, okay? And at the moment, I think they're quite tight, but I'm going to have to give my 10 points to the opposition side for that first round.
Well, that puts us at a tie of 10 to 10. Ms. Uing, can you please break the tie for us?
I'm going to talk about the things I feel it's lacking in the first round, because I think I want the second round, the third round, the reply speech to be much better than this. So there are three things. First of all, you talk a lot about the salary, but you didn't explain or clarify for me why do you think salary has that meaning. So for prop, you say salary means that you're successful, that you are happy. For op, you say that salary means that you got a good job. But you know, sometimes salary not only mean that, or sometimes like it not only reflect that. So I want to hear your explanation on that a little bit more, because understanding how you view salary could actually affect your, you know, like how students and your families and teachers and school, everyone is viewing this particular policy you're having. Second of all, you talk a lot about, you know, like what is it good or is it bad to review the salary, but how about the ban? I want for proposition side to explain for me very specifically how do the ban is going to affect people. Opposition side also, I think you did a little bit better on this when you explain like, okay, so if people know how much they earn, they're gonna be more informed, and then like your ideas about like it's really survival information for people from middle or low class family. All right, the third thing I want to hear from you guys is how uniquely or significantly your impact is gonna be. So for proposition side, I would need you to explain like, okay, so if you ban, then how different it would make an impact. Then, you know, there are other, you know, alternatives as well. The same for opposition side. So those are the three things I need for the result of this round. It's actually very close to me because there were some good ideas from proposition side. You have very well-rounded argument with tackle a lot of stakeholders, and I really like it in the first round because you open a lot of opportunities for your team to develop. For the opposition side, I think you focus on only one group of students and on the student only. So I think it's a little bit narrow, like Mr. Hugh said. So on this particular round, I would give my 10 points to the proposition side.
Thank you so much, Mrs. Uing. And with that being said, proposition side has 20 points and opposition side has 10 points. We think it's still very close, guys, and we don't have a clear winner yet. Thank you so much, speakers. You guys can please take a seat. And stay tuned, folks. We'll be right back with round 2 of debates.
An alumni salary, as proven, is blurring out the criteria in college selections of students.
The middle class and low class students who are vulnerable, they have to pay a student's loan, which is very expensive, and the interest may increase after the years.
I see why you take that as your stance, but I think that somehow restrict your flexibility. You kind of like narrow down your stance too much.
Come and ignite your passion. Ignite your passion.
Welcome back to the debaters' grand finale. I won't keep us waiting too long before we get into our second round of debates. May I please welcome up, on the proposition side, Phang Tae Vik. Step on up. And on opposition side, may I please have Wing Tu Queen. Step on up. Hello. So, the teammate did pretty good. What are you going to do to keep the momentum going?
I think for all the things that the judges said, such as bigger impacts, I think we all already had it in our arguments. So we continue with the pace and continue with our strategy and make adjustments accordingly.
Okay, nice. Keeping that energy up. Good job. And Ms. Guing, be a firecracker. You tend to have a lot of energy up here. So what are you going to do today to win the judges' vote?
I think that I cannot say for sure how much points I am going to get. So what is left in us except trying?
Okay, that's pretty good there. So just try your best. I wish you the best of luck, okay?
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Before we get started with round 2, I'd like to review the rules very quickly. Each speaker will have 4 minutes to complete their speech. POIs will be allowed under 15 seconds, and proposition side will go first. Any questions?
No.
Perfect, guys. With that being said, let the debates begin.
So long as universities put the focus on salary after graduation and worsen a culture of materialism, they are no longer institutions meant for teaching, but rather oppressive systems to perpetuate oligopolies and keep down those struggling. Firstly, some rebuttals on the premise of it being a universal metric, right? We say 1, this is just factually inaccurate. We say all over the world, 1, there are different living standards. 2, there are different forms of currencies. And 3, how economic works is vastly different. We say it is not applicable. 2, we say there are wholly better metrics, right? Such as how an environment works. What are the professors? We say if you want to talk about suitability, learning about these things, learning about the people, infrastructure, facilities are much better. 2, on the problem of symmetry, right? We say sure, even if this was the case, your side actually worsens it by normalizing the issue. But 2, we say universities are a unique tipping point in that a lot of society revolves around university. Your life is determined by your degree. We say what universities think has a big impact. But 3, we say how it cannot ever solve this issue because fundamentally, so long as you promote it, you always normalize this issue and your side just lessens it, right? But thirdly, right, on the premise of the goal of education, we say the goal has always been holistic development, and on your side, you're just training factory workers. Lastly, on the middle class, we say they can get these impacts if they can make it into these universities in the first place. And 2, we'll flip this argument in our analysis. Our first thesis is that this exacerbates an asymmetry in competition. Our first layer of analysis is on the problem of elitism, right? Our first mechanism is that the privileged class of students almost exclusively gather in the more quote-unquote prestigious universities, right? What this means is that when there is so much focus on salary, investors will only put funding into a minute percentage of top institutions with the best salary per alumni with the best return. The impact is that students who are less socioeconomically available, who gather more frequently within these community colleges, will receive much less investment even though they need it more. The societal impact is that not only widens the gap of quality in education between prestigious communities and prestigious university and community ones, but also the wealth gap between those who struggle and the inherently privileged. 2, we're going to talk about the pair of traditional and art colleges, right? We recognize, sure, that these pursuits of arts or humanities often don't pay as much as STEM or other occupations such as doctors or lawyers, right? But when we set our sights on purely numbers and
salary, these majors become a dying trend. The impact is that investors or people in general are much less likely going to want to invest into these fields or develop it because they're sucked into a culture of materialism. For example, the National Center of Educational Statistics reported that English majors declined by 22%, philosophy 15%, and foreign languages by 5%. I'll take a point.
So how on your side of the house can you solve the problem of art when on your side of the house there still exists prejudice of like art majors, for example?
We're going to talk about that right now. We say in an age of globalization, tech, and constant overworking, creative majors like these are crucial to remembering our humanity and passions. We say our capacity to create literature, art, music is our civilization's way of recording our history and henceforth learning from mistakes. It is our way to interact as individuals, as people, rather than a cog in a machine, as mere numbers like in opposition. The alternative is an our world where we don't put so much focus and emphasis. People become more willing to pursue their ambitions and persevere the arts, preserve the traditions. But lastly, right, we say on the part of these employers, when the metric of wage has been so completely enforced, it bleeds out into society at large, right? And employers of large companies are much likelier to, one, hire graduates from these higher ranked universities, or two, even if your side provides that, oh, they'll hire from a more diverse range of individuals, we say they're more likely to pay these graduates a more substantial starting salary than the average new hire based purely on the bias and prejudice regarding these institutions. This is a self-perpetuating cycle, also contributing to why you can never solve this problem on your side so long you do not ban it. We say universities with better alum wage statistics will only get better reports, while the people at the bottom actually make it worse. The impact is that it exacerbates inequality and the gap between the privileged and the not, as opportunities become exclusively reserved for universities at the top. Vote for better universities.
The problem with this debate is that you must focus on the middle class portion of this society. Why is this the case? We have to focus on the fact that most of our class right now is middle class. And the fact that even if we include this kind of elitism in those who are at the higher class, it doesn't really matter because they are not the one who actually care about the alumni salary statistics. They can just ask their daddy and they will give you $2,000 and they can go to Microsoft or whatever they want. So it doesn't matter about if you talk about like the elitist class of the society. So we believe that their whole argument about how elitism will perpetuate in this society is totally out of this debate because it doesn't work. Number two is that we have to say is that when we talk about traditional versus art colleges, we don't understand why on their side of the house it is much better. We believe that the harm is symmetric on both sides of the house because on their side of the house it still exists in the prejudice against art people, even if they state to us that yeah, we admit that there are a lot of benefits, but the problem is that on their side there still exists a lot of prejudice. A lot of prejudice in which maybe when you say that you want to do art, your parents will say you will not go to an art college. You will sit on like Ho Han Kiam and then you draw portraits of people on there. So this prejudice is not like resolved on both sides of the house, and we believe that it is not proportionate. But the third thing is that when we talk about the problem about like this bleeds out and people would actually recruit graduates with better ranking, we believe that this is also symmetric because on their side of the house it still exists university ranking because they just still have like you go online and you have 1, 2, 3, you have Harvard, Stanford and everything, and the fact that this ranking also depends on the ranker. This means that colleges with a much better relationship with the rankers will have a higher ranking. So we believe that this is not a justified framing. Now on to why our stance is superior. First, about the 5 to 10 years. We believe that first, this is recent enough statistics for these students to be based on. But the number two is that 5 and 10 years is enough time for you to figure out your career path and progress in your life. It is enough time because after 2 or 3 years you go out of your university, you cannot really find a job. But after 5 years you can get a position, and after 10 years you can get promoted. So we believe that it is wholly justified on our side of the house to pull out such a mechanism. But the problem now, we believe, is that while on our side of the house, and this would directly clash with there, while on our side of the house will enhance social mobility. So the logic line here is that disclosures would make universities improve their quality of teaching, and this will enhance the social mobility. So A, why do universities have the incentive to invest in majors? We believe that 2 mechanisms. Number one, because they want to protect the reputation and image. The transparency on our side of the house comes because we literally expose all the salaries for the industry. So if
if you suck at one thing, we'll expose it. But if you're good at something, we'll also expose it. So it is a pressing need for these universities to maintain a whole overall good image, when normally universities would try to cut costs as much as possible. So what we mean by this is that university has to make sure there's at least a stable salary across majors to ensure better reputation, aka the salary shouldn't drop by time. And furthermore, because schools literally on their site advertise the same thing, we have good facility, we have these teachers, we have like good curriculum. So we believe that the only way for these schools to be competitive is to prioritize an upward trend in the median to ensure the competitiveness. And the only way to do this is more quality investment in students. So second, the context is that nowadays, when there are a lot of controversies about the quality of university education and the student loans, which can rack up to $150,000 when you reach 30, for example, aka is it worth it to go to these universities? We believe that this will push the universities to feel incentivized to reinforce proper education in order to protect their identity and image, and this to also justify their cost. So what are the mechanisms of change that would directly clash with the classes? So we believe that two mechanisms. Number one, why this ensures stability in education, as we have stated, but number two, this ensures the outcome, especially for these middle class. So how do universities do this? They do this by providing students with better internships, better alumni network, better career counseling, more practical skills. So the impact of this is twofold. Number one, they have a much higher chance for these people, especially middle class families who work 9 to 5 for a more stable salary and career path. And in the future, with a more successful job, they can ignite structural change, they can support themselves, and they can have much intergenerational health. So we believe that money literally solves anything and results in the happiness of these middle class people. For all those reasons, please vote opposition.
Nice work, guys. That was a lot of energy put out there. Okay, judges, I'd love to hear from you. Why don't we start off with my favorite judge, of course. Stuart.
For proposition side, I appreciate that you were kind of illustrating education as this more holistic development. And of course, that's something that I agree with, but I don't know currently how that actually supports your case at the moment. I liked it because it was a reaction to what the other side was saying. But at the moment, their characterization of what education is actually supporting their points a little bit stronger than seeing it as a kind of humanist or holistic endeavor. I also think for the POI, when they kind of put the burden on you and they were mentioning, well, okay, there's a symmetry between these arts majors which are failing. How do you actually solve the prejudice? I don't think that was fully answered or addressed. And I appreciate taking the POI, and I appreciate that you tried to address that, but I think it was a little bit shaky for me. Things that I really liked the idea of, and I think this has a lot of legs, and you can see where this goes, but the notion of a self-perpetuating cycle. Corporations are starting to see, okay, well, this is how much these graduates are earning, therefore I should give students or graduates of these particular schools, that's what their starting salary is going to be. And it's just going to make this kind of cycle where you're just getting these particular schools earning these particular salaries. I think that was really good, and I think you can actually start to push that and think about how that impacts the economy as well. For the opposition side, I like the fact that you are noting and actually kind of pushing through, because it needs answering, this idea, well, okay, how does the other side necessarily promote arts courses which are failing? Because this can happen in both worlds. And I think actually you were very smart to include that in your POI. What I really like is this link between the notion of transparency and accountability for universities in terms of increasing the quality. All in all, looking at both sides, it's a difficult one because there are things that I like about both of the second speakers. But I think this notion of schools and accountability is a cleaner kind of argument, and I could see the ramifications of this argument a little bit cleaner than the other side. So actually for this side, the round again, I'm going to go for the opposition because I think that's something you can push through.
Thank you so much. And that now puts us at a tie of 20-20. Ms. Wing, you've had to break too many ties, so Mr. Hu, can you please break the tie for me?
I feel like in the second round, you guys pull up a lot of the new ideas, but I feel like both of you are not really addressing the first core argument of each team. If the first argument of the proposition is about all of this illusion, right? If you ban university from disclosing, you stop the illusion. I feel like that is such a strong start, but somehow you drop that strong argument. And I feel like if you can push that illusion to see how that illusion, when it stopped effectively from your band. At the same time, you have the same issue, which is like you haven't really addressed their illusion. I feel like that's that big lack of engagement. I feel like it's a really big miss in this round. And you still now it feel like you drop the lower class and you stop with the middle class. Whereas the other team it feels like the other team they only exclude the high income, but then they still talk about the middle lower class. I feel like trying to think about keep narrowing down, trying to talk about more stakeholders as well. So anyway, as of now, I think my 10 point will go to the team that, for me, is still covering more stakeholder groups in this round. So my 10 point go to the proposition team.
Thank you, Mr. Hughes. So that breaks our tie. Proposition side has 30 points, and opposite has 20 points, meaning it's still pretty close. Ms. Wing, can I please hear from you?
In the second turn, I think you guys definitely pick up a lot of the points, the feedback from the judges from the previous round. So there were certain efforts. I can acknowledge that you were trying to fill in the gaps. For the proposition side, I think there were a lot of repetition in your case. And I feel, like a little bit regret that you didn't develop it, explain for me the uniqueness of your, solution. Because I think you have a really nice solution, you had a really nice setup and everything, and you didn't utilize all of the information you put it there. So for proposition, I asked for more uniqueness. For opposition, I think it was really sharp when you pull out that, okay, so whatever you say in here is actually not mutually exclusive because their problem was in there. So that was a very good observation. However, I think in order to actually win this round, not only showing that they don't work, you also have to explain why your case would work as well. Because from my perspective, I can see that, okay, maybe I am persuaded that the proposition solution is not the best. But then by revealing all of those salaries, all of the statistics, are you helping to solve the problem in the status quo? And I haven't seen a very persuasive answer for that yet from your side. So for those reasons, I would have to pick the team when I see more problems are being addressed and there are more possibility that he or she would solve this problem, and then my 10 points will go to the opposition side today.
Well, judges, you guys have been playing with us all day, putting us in ties constantly, and yet again, we're at another tie. 30-30. So, my friend, I'm going to talk to you first because your glasses flew. Do you think that was a sign of good luck for you guys, maybe?
I don't think any of my accidents are good luck. Earlier this week, we lost to them because I was in kind of a delirious state because I just had to stitch my head because I hit my head once. And I don't think accidents are necessarily good, but I hope that this time it plays out well.
Well, you did very good. Great job. Thank you so much and best of luck. And so with the judges' remarks, which remark in particular stuck out to you, and what are you going to try to do to apply in the next rounds?
I think really the most important feedback from all of the judges combined was this issue on symmetry. And it was, even when we were prepping, that was definitely a very, I would say, pesky issue, to say the very least, in trying to deal with. I think hopefully our whip will have our answers towards that problem.
Best of luck to you. Do you want to drop your glasses once so you can have some extra luck?
Sure, why not?
Dang, that's harsh. I think they're broken.
Oh, too bad then.
It's okay. Best of luck to you, my friend, okay?
Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you so much, speakers. Please have a seat. And keep tight. We'll be right back with round 3 of our debates.
Right? What this means is that when there is so much focus on salary, investors will only put funding into a minute percentage of top institutions with the best salary per alumni with the best return.
So the logic line here is that disclosures would make universities improve their quality of teaching, and this will enhance the social mobility.
What I really like is this link between the notion of transparency and accountability for universities in terms of increasing the quality.
Welcome back to the Debaters Season 3 Grand Finale. We're now down to round 3 of debates, and I won't keep us waiting too long. On the proposition side, may I please have up Mr. Lu Tian, step on up. And on the opposition side, may I please have Phạm Bùi Dương Huy. Hello, my friend. So generally speaking, when we have two guys up on the podium going against each other, it gets pretty heated. What are you going to do during this round to keep your cool and win the points?
I think I will bring my A game. I will have new tactics, new rebuttals, new strategies, and such.
Okay, well, best of luck to you, okay?
Thank you.
And Hui, we're currently in a tie. What's your tactic to win the judges' heart so you can get that extra points today?
My tactic is very simple. Like any other rounds, I will try my best to deliver the best speech that will to win the judges' heart.
Okay, well, best of luck to you, okay, my friend?
Yes, many thanks.
Before we get started with round 3, let's review the rules very quickly. Each speaker will have a total of 4 minutes to complete their speech. POIs will be allowed under 15 seconds, and we'll start with the proposition side. Any questions?
No.
Great. With that being said, let the debates begin.
When education is all about money and salary outcome, we are creating employees, not world changers, not activists, not leaders. On to the first question, which side better breach the educational inequality? Side opposition make the biggest strategic mistake, which is to narrow this debate to the most extreme cases of lower to middle income people. We have to understand the fact that when we publicize these salary statistics, we actually create more competition between people, and we have to understand the fact that at the end of the day, the winner of this race is going to be students from the most privileged families who have a decent background and who have the most money. But second of all, we have to understand the fact that when we publicize these salary statistics, this creates an oversaturated market. We have already observed this in the status quo. When IT and computer graduates are just everywhere, yet we have a lack of employees from social sciences or arts background. But thirdly, universities and schools can use this as an excuse to raise more tuition fee for the reason that when they say that computer science major is the most lucrative offer and students are going to make the most money, this is the reason why universities can raise more in tuition fee, and this hurt the most vulnerable students on side opposition. But fourthly, we have to understand that side opposition rely on the assumption that these students can get into the first place. But if this is the most extreme cases, when these are students from lower to middle income families, how can they get into these universities in the first place? But second of all, we have to understand the fact that on-site opposition, they actually widens educational inequality when schools concentrate the most resources and attention on the most profitable, onto the most prospective students in order to boost their ranking, in order to have a good reputation. They do this by impose exclusionary admission policy. They exclude black students, they exclude minority students who do not have potential, who cannot make a great salary, who cannot make good salary, and who cannot make the most money for them. This means education is reserved for the most privileged elites on side opposition. If opposition going to come here and say these universities will face a backlash, it's not going to happen, as these universities are financially motivated. But this also creates discrimination when students look and judge each other by the salary perspective that they are going to make on their side of the house. But how can we solve this problem on side opposition? How can we have career orientation on outside the house? It's very simple. We can, the vast majority of students choose their major out of passion. For example, their previous exposure to subjects, or even if they do not have any passion, they can base the decision on their academic performance, their activities, their extracurricular activities during their high school years. So this can largely shape their path. But it can also depend on the facilities, onto the curriculum, or the location of the university. On-site opposition, they're going to make this the most extreme cases is whether or not you choose computer science major or you are going to choose social science major, which is an absurd idea. So the biggest push from side opposition, which is that lower to middle income students need to make an income, is not available anymore. On to the final clash, which side better educational quality. Side opposition asserted that universities going to relocate resources across majors in order to have a good reputation. However, we are
going to flip this argument by arguing that this is how universities justify the cutting of funding, the cutting of investment into this arts and humanities measure. On outside house, we solve this problem when we do not publicize this statistics. This when universities can actually relocate resources evenly across departments when they base their investments onto actual contribution or to actual research articles. So to conclude my speech, when the biggest push from side opposition is just an absurd assertion when they could not prove the tipping point how students can just choose their major when they know how much money they can make. But even then, they cannot assure that students are going to make that salary in the first place. But onto the second clash, we totally win this when universities justify the cutting on these measures on side opposition. Therefore, vote for proposition.
Firstly, they told us we are too narrow. We say that even if we take the rich into our debate, they still can benefit from this. They can still choose the best universities for them. So we do not narrow this. The second thing is they say that we only the privilege will get into those universities. We say that it's similar on two sides of the house, because on their side of the house, because of ranking, people still get into Harvard. The rich still get into Yale. But on our side of the house, the poor from the top 20 to top 2,000, they know which university is best fit for their careers. So on our side of the house, there are exclusive benefits. Three things. First, obligation. Secondly, universities. And thirdly, individual choice. Firstly, obligation. We say that we pay to study, so they have the right to be informed. Opposition say that the numbers is illusions. Two responses. First, they say that because of many factors. We say that only the minorities have been influenced by those factors. We need to consider thousands of samples, factors outside of this debate. Secondly, they say that many statistics also better like curriculum. We say that on our side of the house, we still have those those statistics because students still care about this. But what is exclusive on our side of the house is that this objective metric of salary. Because you can say that about your good professors, about your good location, about your equipment, but that is not qualitative. What is good? What is bad? But only salaries you can consider that is qualitatively. And secondly, let's talk about the principle of holistic. Panels, school is the only institution that will equip you the money-gaining skills. Because in real life, you can learn the social skills, communication skills, and passions. But only in schools, you have professors, you have curricula that could have you this. And thirdly, they say that students will be sucked into STEM, and then about the saturation of IT. We say that this demand for jobs keep rising. But even if it cannot rising, the demand of the free market will inherent change for it. So the salaries of those IT will lower, so less people would be poured into that. Secondly, let's talk about raising the university quality. We say what? We say that if the wage of alumni is low, that will affect the university's image. And the mechanism that judges is requiring is first because if the image is harming, no sponsor and also no students. So they need to invest into these equipment to practical skills to teach students. They say that we will cut down even more. I don't think why they cut out even more, because money is their prioritization. Everybody cares about money, and why they cut out even more? I don't understand this argument. And what we do better we have tangible changes on our side of the house. And finally, talking about the individual choices. Before I move into my last question.
Even if this debate is exclusively about students of middle to lower income class, but however, if they do not have any interest or they do not have any talents, how can they adapt to the academic pressure from these measures? Are they more likely to fail on your side of the house?
I think that the academic pressure is symmetric on two sides of the house. On two sides of the house, you still study in Harvard, Yale, in the top 20, top 2000s, same curriculum. I don't know why it still matters. Individual choices. We say that we can choose the best that we suit for us, and we have more money, and that money is more important than passions. They say that passion is important for professionalization. We say that when you professionalize your passions, you do it day by day, and then you desensitize your passion, and that doesn't mean that you have more happiness out of your passion. But I say that even if passion is equally to happiness, we say that money is more important because the living prices is increasing. Because of the inflation rate, you need more money to live on. Because of economic crisis of 2008, because of COVID, COVID-19, you have more money to survive. And you have also the obligation to care about your parents' health care, about your children's futures. And all of those means that money is very, very important on our side of the house. What we do better? We do better on the obligation, we do better by raising the university's quality, and furthermore, we do better on the individual choices. So proud to oppose.
Nice job, my friends. And judges, how are we doing there? Ms. Uing, I haven't heard from you to start, so why don't we start, Ms. Uing?
A little bit late, but I still want to give the opposition side one like button as well, because it came really late in your speech when you talk about like how you're giving students informed choice to make informed decision, and I think that idea was great. So I really enjoyed the third turn of the debate. I think this is my favorite ones, and also these are my favorite debaters as well. And to be honest, I'm still, like thinking which team should have the points, because for proposition side, you have very good extension. You solve a lot of problems and you have a lot of great ideas. I love the ideas when you like elevated your ideas about the social class and like how school would choose, students from particular groups of people so that they can have higher salary, which would then benefit the school later on. That was a brilliant idea, and I wish it had been, like introduced much earlier. So good content on your side. For opposition side, there's a lot of good ideas, especially at the end of the debate of your speech. That have a little bit problem in there is that I see you're still using the same strategy in which you still focus on one group of students, and you still want, like to explain how the proposition side is actually not mutually exclusive. So the very small margin in here that would, like make the difference between two teams is that for proposition side, I see a lot of development. For opposition side, yes, there is development, but assumptions you made was a little bit blanket. I'm not going to point out which one because it's bad for your team, but my 10 points for now, very close, would go to the proposition side.
Thank you so much. That does break our tie, meaning proposition side is at 40 points and op side is at 30 points, but it's still pretty close, guys. With that being said, Mr. Hugh, can I please hear from you?
I think both of you come in here with a lot of loopholes, and which I couldn't review earlier because of the cases still going on. The team that I'm going to give a 10.2 to is a team that managed to cover more loophole and fill in the gaps more and bridge the mechanism for me much better, and also create a more realistic picture of reality. So with the opposition team, I think with your 4 clashes of obligations, holistic development, race, university equality, and individual choices, I do agree with Ms. Nguyen that the final one about individual choices is like the finesse of your argument. And it comes in very last minute, but it's very spot on. It kind of close the loop of the first round when you say that, middle income and low income class students, they need to know how much they earn so that they can make an informed decision about their university choices. I think that is like the spot on one. With the obligation and the holistic development and the raising university equality, I feel like there's missing there. With the raising university equality, even though the other team had given out how they're gonna respond to the market and then cut down investment in other majors that don't earn as much, rather than increasing on every investment on the major, I think you missed that point as well. So I think that's where it's missing a little bit for me, even though the ending is a really strong ending. For the proposition team, I do agree with Ms. Nguyen that you guys solved nicely on the education inequality. A little bit things like oversaturated market or the responses in the admission policy of the university, I think that's reality. But I do agree with Ms. Nguyen, some of the arguments come in a little bit late, even though I think it may be a kind of combination between your argument and your rebuttal a little bit. So I kind of credit that, but not fully credit. With the second clash about the passion, I think you make it better for me because now you see that with the ban on the disclosing, then somehow you're gonna redirect people in terms of like gonna reweigh other factors versus salary. So it's making a little bit clearer for me, but it's missing there because I keep saying that is your weakest point in your whole case setup. And with the better education quality, the response of university in reallocate resources in investment, I think that is actually reality. Most universities choose to do so as well. So I think clearly my 10 point go to the proposition team.
With that being said, our proposition side has 50 points and our opposition side has 30 points, meaning that there's not a clear winner yet. So, Stuart, let's hear from you.
With this round, we've got on the one hand, the proposition side pushing a lot of impact and tidying up a little bit with some of the arguments that they had in the first and the second. And then you've got opposition, which your round was really characterized with engagement, and you really showed that you were listening to what the other side was saying, and you were coming up with arguments that tried to at least minimize their impact. I think for the opposition side, your rebuttals, for me, felt a little bit cyclical to the rebuttals that we heard in the previous rounds. It sometimes felt a little bit safe to be talking about, okay, well, these exist in both worlds, and I think there was room for a little bit more creativity in terms of your rebuttals, okay? For the proposition side, there is still a few areas which I don't think you fully kind of cleared up in terms of like, and they're right in saying this, you know, these still exist outside of having the amount of money disclosed. And sometimes there were a few jumps in terms of what you're mentioning in terms of the groups of students that they're looking at and how that directly is affecting them. If I'm comparing both sides at this point, it's incredibly difficult. For me, it's actually very, very tight. But I think based on the willingness and ability to continue to engage and try and dissect the opponent's arguments, my 10 points will actually go to the opposition for this round.
Thank you so much. So, with that being said, proposition side has 50 and opposition side has 40 points, meaning that we have not yet decided our winner yet for the grand finale today. Thank you so much, speakers. Please take a seat. Stay tuned, folks. We'll be right back with the reply speeches.
But second of all, we have to understand the fact that when we have publicized these salary statistics, this creates an oversaturated market. We have already observed this in the status quo.
Individual choices. We say that we can choose the best that we suit for us, and we have more money, and what that money is more important than passion.
That I have a little bit problem in there is that I see you're still using the same strategy in which you still focus on one group of students.
Welcome back to The Debaters Season 3 Grand Finale. I won't keep us waiting too long. Let's get right into our reply speeches. From the proposition side, may I please have Phang Tae Vic. And on the opposition side, may I please have Din Falais. Step on up. Before we start our reply speeches, I'd like to review the rules very quickly. Each speaker will have a total of 2 minutes to complete their speech. There'll be no POIs during this round, and it's completely anonymous, meaning we will not have any remarks from our judges. Opposition side will start first. Any questions?
No.
Perfect. With that being said, let the debates begin.
Two strategic mistakes made by the proposition side. Firstly, there is this characterization that they have already conceded about how this statistic will be the median, which means that the universities actually have the incentive to improve on all of their measures because they are picking the average, not just the one like going from STEM or like from the high-paid industries. So actually, all of their arguments about elitism and everything is wrong. It's actually we do it better on our side. We are improving equality and education for everyone. Secondly, they bring up all about the harms of, they don't get to pursue their art and passions, and about also the inequality. But the mistake is that they do not have any kind of alternative. That's as my two other speakers have already pointed out, this harms are already symmetrical. So what we do better is that firstly, we create the incentives for the education institutions to actually improve all of their education programs so that they could actually meet all of the things that they advertise about the environment, about the professors, and etc. So actually on our side, we are doing better. And secondly, a very vulnerable group of stakeholders that should be especially noticed here is the vulnerable one. On our side, whose parents have already worked 9 to 5 so that they could like earn your I don't know the fee for university. Actually on our side we have informed choice. We have the right to do so. We have the transparency that we need so that at least after our investment we could actually have something and we could actually get social mobility. On their side they will still like go opt in for like major colleges. And notice this, judges, on both sides Yale will always be at Ivy League, will always be like highly like the companies will still hold them in high regards. However, on our side we're the only one that actually incentivize the universities to like improve the quality of education so that because in reality why is materialism so bad? Because actually you need money to actually survive so that you could have moral high grounds, so that you could have all the holistic recruitment that they are talking about. Very proud to oppose.
Let it be known that while we talk about all stakeholders within this debate, Team Opposition actively tries to narrow it down. But even on their best stakeholder, which is the middle class, we still win. On one, we ask you, how are you so sure that they can even make it to these top universities in the first place? But two, we already told you about the societal implications, about how it exacerbates inequality. We say only your side, when this fixation on money makes it all the more unlikely these people are going to get these opportunities. But two, imagine this. You're a student from the middle class in Vietnam, and your parents see that students make a lot of money when they graduate, right? And so with the pursuit of changing their lives, they actually try to push you into these universities, but the tuition is too high and the probability of scholarship is extremely low. And so your parents become extremely strained to make sure you get into these universities, but at the end of the day, these universities were made for the people who are upper class, who are fitting these universities, not you, right? Meaning, it actually distracts you from other pursuits that likely would have been better or more realistic, and you end up cannot fitting in where your parents have already spent too much, right? The tipping point here on the problem of salary is that it appeals directly to the obsession for money from the middle class. It is a trap of desperation, of trauma, and of shame that these people have always lived so poor. They don't have money to enjoy the lives that the upper class can, right? We say other metric will have more freedom and try to explore about which side is more suitable for you, right? Understand that Team Opposition does not solve the problem, well, actually actively prove to you if they go here, they'll suffer more. But lastly, right, on the improvement of facilities, right, we ask you, what's going to be more convenient, right? Sure, on paper it sounds good that they're going to improve everything, but we say they're much likelier to advertise their alumni rather than improving in schools, and we question to what extent did they actually benefit from these schools in the first place? Was it not the connections they already had? Meaning, this actually rebuts your claim about transparency, but also the fact they don't make it to these schools in the first place. We say your quote-unquote principle for information makes no sense at the end of the day. We say that based on their stakeholder, we still win and they don't solve any of your problems. We recognize that society today is actually making progress, but the fixation of money on Team Opposition is actually slowing that down. So proud to propose.
Well, that sure was a heated round of debates, guys. Hate to break to you guys, this round is completely anonymous, so please go back to your seats. And stay right there, folks. We'll be right back with the final results for the grand finale of the Debaters 2022. Welcome back to the Debaters Season 3 grand finale. In the last 2 seasons, we've had 2 all-boy teams getting the championship. Today, will the champion be an all-boys team? Will history repeat itself? Or will we have a little bit of a change? But before I reveal our final results, may I please welcome to the stage Professor Dr. Raymond Gordon. Hello, sir.
Hello.
How are you doing today?
Very well, thank you.
So, watching us throughout the entire season, watching the students with all of their hard work and growing, how do you feel about the season so far?
It's like all the seasons, you know, the previous years as well. It's just been fantastic.
And anything else you'd like to share with everyone at home?
Oh, yes, certainly I would. I'd just like to give a short, I've made some notes here. I'd like to give a short speech, if that's okay.
Yeah, for sure.
First of all, Miss Natwar, Deputy Director of Department of Science and Education. The judges, of course, and by the way, I've enjoyed your ability to deconstruct and that's been very good for me. And of course, the contestants, the debating mentors who are over here also, and of course, the ladies and gentlemen that are here with the audience. As you already know, I'm the president of the British University of Vietnam, and it's an honour for me to represent the university today as the main sponsor of the VTV7 Debaters Competition. I'd just like to say all the debaters this evening have performed outstandingly. It was a pleasure for me to watch, and as I mentioned before, they're excellent communicators. They understand philosophical arguments, and it was great to see how they debunked logical fallacies. They're critical thinkers, they're analysts as well, and innovators, which is important for BUV. Just another thing is that the debaters today, they've brought forward skills that we're going to need for the future, and in particular for 4IR, and innovation is very much a part of that. So congratulations to all of you. You should all be very proud, and good luck with the judges' final decisions. And congratulations to all of you.
Thank you so much, Professor Dr. Raymond Gorman and British University of Vietnam, for allowing us to be here today. Thank you so much, sir. Another round of applause, please, everyone. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, sir. Now I'd love to invite on stage a familiar face, Ms. Rohe Wan, professional debater, CEO of Debate for All, and of course, one of our lovely judges. Well, I gotta say, I mean, I'm not biased, but you might be one of my favorite judges, because you're just so sweet. I mean, come on. But after watching today's debates, how do you feel about today? Have you seen any changes in our students and any growth?
I think what I've noticed the most is how comfortable they are on the stage, obviously watching them in the preliminary rounds. It's great to see such strong teams in the grand finale battling against each other.
It's very nice to hear from you, and a special round of applause, please, for Rohe Wan, everyone. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. And dear friends, we wouldn't be complete without our judges. I want to send a special thanks to all of our judges for being fair and giving their true critiques to help the students make it through their entire journey. Please give a round of applause for Ms. Nguyễn Ngọc Tu Uyên, Nguyễn Chi Hiếu, Stuart Utley, and from our lovely judge from the preliminary rounds, sorry he's not here, Đỗ Hoàng Long. At the debaters, our contestants are very interesting. They have a tradition of being nervous, so they do not allow their mentors to watch their speeches. Well, now that the speeches are done, I'd like to invite our mentors up on stage to give them a little bit of an applause. So, with that being said, may I please welcome on the stage Chu Đức An, Nguyễn Trần Nguyên Anh, Hà Tuấn Hồng, Đàm Minh Khôi, Nguyễn Hà Phương, and Lê Đào Minh Tâm. Please allow me to invite to the stage Ms. Nhật Hoa, the Deputy of the Department of Science and Education at Vietnam Television, to come up on the stage and present certificates to our lovely mentors. And may I please have a special round of applause for you guys. Thank you so much. Ladies and gentlemen, we're coming down to our final results for the grand finale of the Debaters 2022. But before that, I'd like to reveal our grand prize for the winners today. The winners today will win a grand prize of a 2-week study tour at universities in the United Kingdom. Again, thank you, British University of Vietnam, for sponsoring our program and allowing us to have such a great reward for our winners today. All right, here come the results for today. But before that, I'd like to present a special award to the most valuable speaker today. Since we have special guests joining us today, I'd like to invite all of them also to scan the QR code on the screen and vote as well with us. We will still have our live audience at home voting as well, so let's please take a look at the results. Nguyễn Cước Quyên, please step on up. You're the winner of the most valuable speaker today. many times have you won this so far?
This is the first time, actually.
The first time. Well, today you dropped your glasses, and I guess it was good luck for you. Congratulations. You've also won an award of 1 million Vietnamese dong. Well, congratulations, my friend. Please take a seat.
Thank you.
I know we're all waiting for the final results today, but before that, I have a few more awards to award to a few special favorite speakers throughout the entire race. Please allow me to welcome on stage Mr. Stuart Utley with the results of the Best First Speaker.
Okay, so in this envelope, I have the name of the Best First Speaker. The first speaker is, as all the judges know, there's a lot of importance on that role, especially in setting up the case and making it nice and clean. And we've mentioned a lot of compliments for the debaters in this season in terms of how they're setting up the case and how the clarity then really enforces and pushes through their arguments. So without further ado, I'm going to open this up and announce the winner of the Best First Speaker of the Debaters Tournament Season 3. So the name is the Best First Speaker, Ding Pha Lê. And I think I speak for both of the judges in you really shone through the whole of this debating tournament, and you are thoroughly deserving of the Best First Speaker for this season. Certificate and your massive first round speaker prize. There's some wonderful sunflowers to top off as well. There you go.
Thank you so much. And may I please welcome up Ms. Nguyễn Ngọc Tú Yến with the Best Second Speaker results.
On behalf of all the judges today, we are very, very proud to judge wonderful debates, especially the second speakers. It's also very difficult because you have a lot of work to do. You have to fill in the gaps. You have to make sure that, like you rebut, you engage well with the opponent teams. So we had a very selective pool of nominees, and it was actually very hard to decide the best speakers. But before I give the name of the best second speaker, I just want to say that all of the faces on the screen today put us in awe. Like, we really admire your effort. You guys was amazing. All right, so now is the time to review the name of the best second speaker. The speakers from the team Kathy Swat, Nguyễn Thiên Lam, congratulations.
Ms. Nguyễn Thiên Lam is not here today, so can I please invite our mentor up to represent her and accept her award? Please, special round of applause. And I hope, Lam, you're at home watching. Congratulations. Thank you so much. You can please take a seat. And I'm pleased to invite to the stage Mr. Nguyễn Chi Hugh with the results of the best third speaker.
So there's this unspoken rule, we always have to make it, when it comes to the third debaters, it's not clear who's going to win yet. So I feel like the third speakers always have to shoulder so much pressure. Win or lose tend to be falling on on the third speaker. So for the amount of pressures you guys have to handle, and I'm sure all the speakers here handle pressure pretty well. But obviously, after long consideration, we have chosen the one that we think handle the pressure slightly better than the others. Okay. So, calm, collected, look introvert a little bit, but when the speaker is on stage, that speaker tends to take the stage by storm. So, the best third speaker prize goes to Lu Chiang from Lost Stars.
Wow. Good job, đẹp trai. Good job, good job. Please take a seat. And may I please welcome up one of my favorite judges, Ms. Ro Hei Wan, with the best reply speech.
So for the reply speech, I think it's oftentimes undermined because it's so short. It's also the very end. But as a judge, I can say that that's the most suspenseful part of the show, where debates are so close and you're leaving it up to the last storyteller to really defend their team. So I'm excited and honored to be announcing the best reply speech. All right, the best reply speech prize, not surprisingly and very deservingly, goes to Lost Stars Fan to Viet.
Round of applause for Phang Tae Vic, everyone. Thank you so much, and please take a seat. Good job, congratulations. This is the moment we've all been waiting for. I'm ready to introduce to you guys the winner of the Debaters 2022. But in order to do that, can I please have my two teams up on stage? Before we reveal our final results, do you guys have any final words?
We'd just like to say we had a great match and a great journey. The debaters, Ams Kira was definitely the toughest opponents we met in this tournament so far, both in the quarterfinals and now definitely gave us a tough match.
Thank you so much. And you guys made a comeback. Do you guys have any final words for your opponents?
So it is a very fun motion for us to debate, and we really laughed a lot like hyenas when we were preparing for this motion. So I would like to thank the other team for a very great debate, and no matter what happens, we will walk off the stage as very proud debaters.
Thank you so much. With those final words, anyone is a winner here, and everyone is a winner here. And at the end of the day, we all made new friends, right? And we learned something new. So keeping positive, thank you so much. With that being said, I do have 3 little pieces of paper here. Currently, as it stands, our proposition team has 50 points and our opposition team has 40 points, meaning that it could go either way. With that being said, I will open our first piece of paper here. Ready? Proposition team. Congratulations. That does mean you guys are the winners. But let's take a look at the rest of the votes to see who else got points. Another 5 points for proposition team. Meaning proposition side has 60 points now, and the last 5 points will go to proposition. With that being said, you guys take the lead with 65 to 40. Congratulations, you guys are the winners. I'd like to invite Ms. Nhật Hoa up to the stage to present an award to our runners-up. Thank you so much, guys. Thank you so much. Congratulations. Please take a seat, guys. Thank you so much. May I please welcome to the stage Professor Dr. Raymond Gordon to present the cup to the winners of our competition. Here you go, sir. Great work, guys. Good job. And special thanks to British University Vietnam for sponsoring us and allowing us to have a great competition. Thank you so much, guys. Bye, guys.